In this video, we're going to talk about the foundations of organic chemistry. At the end of the video, you should be able to define organic chemistry, recognize the importance of organic compounds, describe the special nature of carbon, and recognize the characteristic features of organic compounds. Now, what is organic chemistry? When we hear the word organic, we usually think of organic food, organic fertilizers, etc., right? But in science, it's different. When we say it's organic, it is made up of carbon. Therefore, organic chemistry is the study of carbon-containing compounds, especially those with carbon-carbon bond and carbon-hydrogen bond. It deals with the structure and bonding, properties and reactions and applications of organic compounds. Now, the counterpart of organic chemistry is inorganic chemistry. So these are the things not primarily made up of carbon. They can have carbon, but it's not carbon-based. Now, organic compounds are present in everyday life, in the food that you eat, the medicines that you take, and the things that you use, such as energy. So it explains the chemistry of life, or how our bodies use food and medicine. It provides the basis for modern industry, helps us understand and solve environmental issues, and it is directly connected to health, technology, and sustainability. Now, what makes carbon special? Why do we have a subject for carbon-containing compounds? Number one is tetravalency. Carbons can have 4 bonds. Based on the word tetravalency, tetra meaning 4, valency meaning valence, we have 4 valence electrons. So valence electrons are the electrons in the outermost shell of an atom. These are the bonding electrons. Okay? Since we have 4 valence electrons, you can form 4 bonds, specifically 4 covalent bonds. Okay? When we say covalent bond, it means the atoms share their electrons. So as you can see here in this picture, so this carbon has 1, 2, 3, 4. So this tetravalency gives carbon the ability to produce or to have single, double, or triple bonds. Next is catenation. Catenation is basically the ability of an atom to bond to itself repeatedly. Though there are only few atoms that can do this, and one of them is carbon. Carbon atoms can connect to each other. Because of that, they can form long chains, branch chains, and rings. So for example, I have here isobutane. Isobutane is a branch chain. This one is a butane, but if we're going to look at the structure, it's linear. So we call this an N-butane. N meaning it's normal, it's unbranched. And this one is a cyclobutane. It is a ring. Number 3 is bond strength. Carbon, they form stable covalent bonds. So take note, carbon-carbon or carbon-hydrogen bonds, they're very strong. This means that molecules with carbon-carbon or carbon-hydrogen bonds, they are very stable. That's why they are used in biological molecules. They can be used in the industry or they can be used in petroleum. They are very stable, they don't break down quickly. Number 4 is isomerism. When we say isomers, the compound has same formula, but they have different structures. In turn, this gives different property and reactivity to the compound. For example, I have C4H10. C4H10 meaning you have 4 carbon atoms and 10 hydrogen atoms. C4H10 can be an isobutane or an N-butane. This is branched. This one is linear. And lastly, hybridization. Hybridization gives the shape of the molecules. Okay? Hybridization is just a fancy term for mixing. So carbon, they rearranges their orbitals to form bonds with different geometries or shapes. Now, when we say an orbital, it is where the electrons are most likely to be found. Again, orbitals are probable location of electrons. So we have the sp3. The structure of sp3, you have 109.5 degree between each angle. So what you have to remember for now is that it has single bonds. sp2 happens if the carbon has double bonds, and sp3 happens if the carbon has triple bonds. So if we're going to look at the pictures, they have different shapes and they have different angles. Now let's go to the characteristic features of organic compounds. So number one, organic compounds, they are mostly covalent. Okay, so again, when we say covalent, the atoms share electrons. Now we also have what we call an ionic bond or ionic compound. In ionic bonding, there is a transfer of electrons. You fully transfer the electron, therefore you will form a positive here and a negative atom. And because they are different, they will attract each other, forming the bond. Now, this covalent nature of organic compounds explains why organic compounds are usually gases, liquids, and soft solids. So, ionic is stronger than covalent. Next, they have low melting and boiling points. This is due to their weak intermolecular forces or IMF. When we say intermolecular forces, these are the attractions between the molecules, okay? Between the molecules. If it is within the molecule, it is called an intramolecular force. For example, I have sodium chloride and I have methane gas. So sodium chloride, it has a boiling point of 1465 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, methane gas has negative 162 degrees Celsius. This is because sodium chloride has ionic bonds and methane gas has covalent bonds. So it has weaker intermolecular forces. Now, this explains why organic compounds are volatile. Organic compounds, they're also often flammable, okay? Meaning, when they burn, they release energy, okay? So, the process is called combustion. Again, if organic compounds react with oxygen, it will form carbon dioxide, water, and energy. This explains why organic compounds are used in LPG, butane gas, propane gas, etc. Lastly, they follow the rule like dissolved slide. Okay, so molecules can be non-polar or polar molecules. When we say polar molecules, there is an even distribution of charges. Okay, so the other side is more positive, the other side is more negative. When we say non-polar molecules, the charges are evenly shared. Okay. Now, this explains why organic compounds are used as detergents, cosmetics, or in cooking.